Hello. So my name is Tomasz Żernicki, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of ZYLIA. So it's a pleasure to host you on our webinar once again. And as you know, the 3D audio is right now like a very crucial element of every virtual reality production, or even movies or music productions. So right now we have more and more 3D audio content due to Dolby Atmos, for example. And it's very important also from the, for example, sound engineer career path to understand how to create that kind of a content, immersive content, how to work with that kind of content. So for example, imagine the situation that you would like to recreate a concert or a live venue where you would like to give the possibility to your viewers, listeners, that they will be able to move freely in the space, to be, for example, in the center of the crowd or maybe at the stage. And so this is very important, how to understand how to create that content. And this is a topic of this webinar. So we'll demonstrate how to work with 360 cameras and 360 microphones, Ambisonics microphones, and how to combine all of this content, especially if you have many of those cameras and microphones. And as a teaser, let me show you something. Okay, so I'd like to say that we just finished that kind of recording with the cooperation with Jordan Rudes. So Jordan is a keyboard player of Dream Theater band. So we work with him in this very nice Dreamland Studios using multi-point 360 camera setup, as well as our 6 degrees of freedom multi-360 Ambisonics microphone setups. So these recordings will be available soon, so stay tuned. But this is also the topic of this webinar is related somehow, how to create that kind of a content. But right now I would like to give my voice to Marcin, who will give you this presentation and describe the possibilities behind the 360 audio and video. So just remember that after Marcin's presentation, we'll have a question and answer session. So have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomasz, for the introduction. My name is Marcin Pleskacz. I'm a creative sound engineer at ZYLIA, and I would like to welcome you on our 5th webinar. In this webinar, I would like to show you how you can incorporate the Ambisonics audio recorded with our ZYLIA ZM1 microphone with your 360 video to create an amazing immersive experience for your viewers. I will show you the basic workflow with one microphone and one 360 camera, but I will also present you the way how you can multiply this setup to use it 3, 4, 5, or even more times to give you the 6 degrees of freedom effect, when you can not only rotate your head and see and hear musicians in real time, but you can be moved from one listening point to another to achieve the effect of full freedom in the scene. For the example, to show you how the video like this could look and sound like, I would like to present you the fragment of a song W ciszy, performed by a famous Polish artist Urszula. We've recorded this concert lastly at a Poznań theater. For this example, to hear the effects I'm willing to show you, you need to wear headphones, as stereo speakers can not produce you the full Ambisonics image I would like to present to you, and you can experience phase problems. So if you have a pair of speakers, please wear them now. Notice how you can rotate your head and you are moved between various listening and viewing points. You can hear the musicians from various angles that are changing when you change the view position.
Biały śnieg, 12 dań i zapach
This effect is achieved by binauralization algorithms, which take your rotation point and present you the binauralized stereo image from the Ambisonics audio sphere. It is according to, as I said before, the point that you are currently rotated to. So every player that is able to play you the Ambisonics content does that in real time. In ZYLIA, we believe that this is a much more immersive and realistic way to present the 360 content for everyone, basically. And using our amazing technology, this effect can be achieved with ease. While we are at this topic, let me just quickly tell you about the platforms that you can upload this kind of content to. YouTube, for example, is a platform that you can upload the first order Ambisonics content to. So you have the 360 video and the first order Ambisonics audio. Facebook, on the other hand, allows publishing up to second order Ambisonics audio. So it is much more distinguishable difference between just traditional stereo image. And there are some dedicated platforms like Host, for example, which allow you to publish the video with up to third order Ambisonics, which is exactly what our microphone is capable of recording. Okay, so now when we know what are we exactly willing to achieve, let me show you what gear we will need to perform recording like this. For simplicity of this webinar, I will just demonstrate you the simplest setup with one microphone and one 360 camera. But using multiple setups like this will be really easy and intuitive to make the very the multi-point viewing and hearing experience. Okay, so the first thing that you need, two most important things, of course, will be our ZYLIA ZM1 microphone and a 360 camera of your choice. In this example, I will be using Insta360 1R, a little affordable 360 camera. Keep in mind that in order to have a recording taken by our microphone, you need also to have a laptop, a tablet with Windows operating system, or our dedicated ZYLIA ZR1 portable recorder. Another thing you need to perform the recordings are stands, because you need stable recording, right? So you need to use stands. But I'm lucky enough to be able to mount my ZM1 microphone directly on the Insta360 camera with help of these little adapters here. If you don't have such convenient option, you can also use another stand and place it just close enough to the 360 camera. I mean your ZM1 camera, your ZM1 microphone close to the 360 camera. Or you can have this ZYLIA arm that is able to attach to any stand you currently own and mount the ZM1 microphone on this arm. And that is basically everything you need to set up gear for the recording. As I said before, if you need more listening and viewing points, just double, triple, quadruple this setup and you'll be ready to go. Now let's quickly cover the software necessary to perform these recordings and to edit them afterwards. Of course, you'll need a digital audio workstation, or DAW if you prefer. I will be using Reaper today, as it is a very versatile and easy to use tool, especially for our case. Another thing you need is a ZYLIA Ambisonics converter, which takes the raw recording we've taken with our ZM1 microphone, which has 19 channels, because every channel represents every capsule on our microphone, and takes this A format, we call it A format recording, and converts it to Ambisonics B format, which has 16 channels, each one corresponding to one Ambisonics channel. You can have this tool as a standalone application or in form of a plugin called ZYLIA Ambisonics Converter Pro in your DAW. I'll be using a plugin version today. And the last thing you need to edit the recordings, or maybe not edit, but to have your rendered video finished and ready for publishing, is a lightweight, easy-to-use program called Spatial Media Metadata Injector. It basically takes your fully edited rendered video and applies spatial metadata to it, so it'll be recognized as 360 video with addition to Ambisonics audio, and it'll be able to be played in every platform that supports Ambisonics audio you choose, even on VLC player. Okay, now that we've covered everything in theory, let's begin the assembling process. Just take your stand and mount your 360 camera on it. As I said before, I'm in this lucky situation that I can mount my ZM1 directly on my 360 camera. This is very convenient as the video and audio will be taken from nearly the same spot, and this is exactly what we're willing to achieve today. If you don't have such an option, as I said before, you can use another stand or the arm that we're selling. Now, this is very important fact. Look for the red dot on our ZM1 microphone and align it to the front of your 360 camera, so they will be facing in the same direction. Of course, you can rotate the Ambisonics sphere afterwards in editing process, but it will be pretty much unnecessary if you align them perfectly at the setup phase. So why adding yourself unnecessary trouble and issues later? Just set up it like right the first time, okay? And now we have our setup completed, and we can plug in our ZM1 microphone to our laptop. I will be using a macOS laptop today, so I'm just plugging my ZM1 to one of the USB ports in my device, and we are ready to go. Now let's set up Reaper for the recording. Just open up the program. And go right there. Add a new track, and in routing options, change parent channels, not parent channels, but track channels, to 20. And then arm the track and select input, 20 channel input, and arm microphone. And now we are ready. Just to mention, you can have multiple points of listening and seeing in your scene if you decide to do so. But you can make this process easier using our ZM1S microphones, which are able to be plugged in. Multiple of them can be plugged in to one device using USB hub, and you can additionally connect the special jack cables to them and send the impulse signal, so they will be perfectly synchronized afterwards, and you won't have to worry about synchronizing them manually. They will all be synchronized with the help of this synchronization impulse. You can do that in our software later. Okay, and while we are at the recording phase still, while we didn't hit the record button yet, let me just give you 2 quick tips for the recording process. No matter if it's our case with our microphones and the 360 cameras, or it is a general recording, but it is very, very important. So the first tip is to always start the recordings at the, maybe not the same time to the second, but always to take every take separately on every device you're recording with. Like, for example, I'm using a ZM1 microphone and a 360 camera. So if I just did something that was unexpected and I don't like the first take, I hit pause on the ZM1 microphone and on the camera as well, because taking one take of audio and 3 takes of video at the same time might give you some hassle, some unneeded hassle in the editing phase. So it is important to keep everything organized, and this is especially important when you're using multiple setups like this and you have more than one ZM1 and 360 camera. So then it'll be a nightmare for you to edit every of these takes and just watch every and listen to every take you've made and cut them then. So it'll be important to just start a new take on every device you're recording with. And the second very, very important tip, and this is even more important than the before, than the one I've talked about before, because sometimes not doing this thing just simply makes your recordings uneditable or very hard to edit. And it's clapping before every new take. You just simply hit record and stand in front of your 360 camera and your ZM1 microphone. You say something like, I don't know, take 17 of walking my 9 dogs in a park and there are 2 mountain lions next to me. Take 17, as I said before. And you clap 2 times, like 1, 2, and you're ready to go. Because without those claps, sometimes synchronizing audio and video might be very hard or almost impossible, as I said before. And if you're using multiple setups, just stand in front, in center of the scene you're recording and do the same process. It's very simple. Okay, so when we've covered everything and we've recorded our performance, let's go to the editing stage. Let's jump into Reaper. You can import your tracks directly to Reaper, or you can use the session you are recording with. So, to hear the effects we've just recorded, we need to use the Ambisonics converter plugin, as I said before. Just unarm this track, we don't need it anymore. So add our ZYLIA Ambisonics converter plugin. As you can see, we can here choose the order in which we want to convert the raw recording to. I would stick with the third order, and I'll advise you to always use 16 channels third order in editing phase, because you can always export just 4 of the tracks you've achieved, but going to first order and exporting it and saving it and bouncing it and wanting to go back to the third order later if you need it might be very hard or sometimes very tedious, so just stick around with third order Ambisonics. Here you can also rotate the sphere if you had some problems with the recording and you've done like your microphone was a little tilted to one of the sides, or it was upside down, or was it an end-fire orientation, or you can change the elevation even. So yeah, as I said before, you can do it now in the editing phase, but it's good to use the proper alignment in the setup phase. So okay, we have now converted our 19 channels recording into the 16-channel Ambisonics format, but we can't hear the effect we are desiring to make yet. To make it happen, we need to change routing option of our master track to 16 channels at max, because we have maximum of 16 channels in Ambisonics format. And if we hit play, we can see that we have 16 channels of audio playing right now. You can see it by the moving gain bars down there in the bottom. But if you want to, let me just quickly delete those claps and normalize the recording for a moment so we can hear the effect. As you can hear, everything is kind of on the left side, and if we even rotate it in the Ambisonics converter, it isn't really the effect we are desiring, right? So in order to hear how your ready recording will sound like, we need to add a binaural IEM binaural decoder plugin, which will take our Ambisonics sphere and decode it to the binaural format, which are just 2 channels like stereo, as I've mentioned earlier. And right now we have the effect of our desired Ambisonics format. We can hear it through our headphones. As you can hear, it's a recording I've made quite a long time ago. It is a recording of a tram starting and riding and stopping and doing just basic stuff that trams are doing. And so in order to rotate with this binaural decoder now, we can use also one of the IEM's plugins, which is IEM scene rotator, and place it before the binaural decoder. It is important because first of the plugins that you want to need to use always is our ZYLIA Ambisonics plugin, and then plugins that are enhancing the audio if you want to do that after this plugin. If you want to rotate in the editing phase to just check how the things sound like right now, you can do that by the scene rotator plugin from IEM's plugin suite. By the way, IEM's plugins are of course free, so you can easily download all of them, and they are very helpful with the editing phase. And using binaural decoder, you can really hear the effect the finished video will have. So we can now, using scene rotator, using these 3 parameters, yaw, pitch, and roll, rotate our head in the scene. Just like in the example I showed you before with our Ursula singer. Okay, so when you've done playing around with this with the settings, you're amazed by the effect we can achieve, just delete those 2 plugins because we won't need them for rendering. And even worse, if we render our video with those plugins, it might just destroy our recording, because then it will render just 2 channels, and we want the full 16 channels Ambisonic sphere to be rendered. Okay, so now we have our audio. It is, let's say, it is ready to just take the video we've made. So you know that these days 360 cameras record in some weird formats, and you need to transform to this files to something actually usable. That's something that Reaper can, for example, take into and edit and work with, basically. So I'll run a program called Insta360 Studio, and this little program will help us transcode, decode are raw recordings, which have these weird INSV INSV extension to the not like this, to something which we could use like the MP4 format, for example. So just import the recordings we've made, wait a little, and here you can see that we have our video right now. We can rotate it. No, we can't actually rotate it here. I'm sorry. We can export it, and this is basically what we want to do. Just hit export and type in settings that you want to export with. I'm sticking with the original resolution with original frame rate. Encoding format H.264 is very good for me, and you can just hit export and it will be just ready for you in a matter of seconds. So when you have your finished video, you can just take it like I'm doing it right now. As you can see, we have our MP4 video, and we can add it to Reaper to be able to edit it with our audio. Just import it. It is amazing in Reaper that it supports video content, and we can actually play around with recorded video in Reaper. So using shortcut Command Shift V, we can preview the video that we've made like this. Yeah, this is me on this recording. Don't worry about this video looking like this right now, so it is unwrapped and flat. When you render in Reaper, it is called render. When you render the edited video, you can apply the spatial metadata to it, so it will be just right, just how you imagined it. It will be 360, you could rotate, and everything will be alright. So let me just quickly find out where do I have my claps, because I have them probably right here on my recording, if I'm right. Oh no, they are, if I remember correctly, they are somewhere here, right? Yes, these are definitely claps that I have made, and right now let's look for them on our video. These are very important, as I told you before. You have easily the ability to find those claps by the picks on a waveform. So let's just solo this track for a moment, and using this command I've talked about earlier, we can look for me clapping. This is not me clapping. Okay, now I'm moving the camera, so the claps are probably incoming. Yeah, there they should be. That is correct. Yeah, right. And the shortcut for showing this video window is, of course, Ctrl-Shift-V if you're on a Windows machine. Yeah, okay, so these are my claps that I've made before. Let's just take these friends right there and synchronize them with our audio. Okay, I think it's pretty much good enough. So let's just delete these claps. Let's crop this video a little. Maybe not crop, but cut the beginning of the video. Move it to the beginning, and look at what we have here. Yep, it looks pretty good. At the beginning of the video, we have this tram right there coming from the right side of the of the video, so it'll be okay. And later on it just drives away. Okay, so now we can edit the video how you like. If you have multiple viewing and listening points, as I've said earlier, you can just import them straight to Reaper and synchronize them with their audio, and synchronize their audio with their video, like I did for this one example. I won't be doing this right now because we don't have too much time for this. Let me just show you quickly if we wanted to just cut this video, like for example in this moment it is really achievable. We can add transitions to this video, not only to audio, but using the video processor we can also add transitions to the video to make a fade in and fade out effect. And when we are done editing our video, it will be time for rendering it. So let's assume that I have played around with my video well enough. Let's even say that I've had a multiple point recording. So let's just quickly say that this was my second point, and I could just simply say that this is my first point, and I have something here, like for example this is this microphone, and on this these regions, these recordings like this, I have a recording point right here, for example, in the scene. So I can make that work. I can make the transitions from one point to another, and if I have everything edited just the way I want, it is a very simple way of editing, nothing fancy really. We've wanted this webinar to be this very simple tutorial as to what you exactly need to do, and not show a very complicated way of editing video. It's a topic for another webinar or another meeting. Okay, so if we have everything edited just the way we want it, hit File, Render, and now this is important. Of course, you can name the file however you want, you can set the render path to it, but the important things are, of course, sample rate, because we want to have our sample rate at 48 kilohertz, because that's the sample rate our microphone supports. And before we actually render the video, let's check if we have our routing master track channels at 16, because we want every of our Ambisonics audio tracks to be present in our rendering options. And if we don't have any IEM plugins that are not necessary, like for example binaural decoder, which will, as I said before, record or render only the two of the tracks that we want to render. So yeah, for simplicity, I will first show you the process of rendering and injecting spatial metadata to the video in first order Ambisonics, and then we'll go back to it and render videos with the second and third order Ambisonics, because it's a little harder process. So just to be just for simplicity, let's first render our video and the in 4 channels, so it will be only first order Ambisonics. Let's save it to the desktop folder, call it, I don't know, Dogos. Let it be Dogos, it will be fun. and set the number of channels to 4 to render in first order Ambisonics. And right here in primary output format, choose format MPEG. Choose format video FFmpeg LBAF encoder, and choose the QT MOV /MOV /MP4. Type in the resolution of your video. In my case, it was something like this. And frame rate of your input video, of course. In my case, the frame rate was 25. And set audio codec to 48-bit. And now you're ready. We can just hit render our file. Oh, and just one more thing that I've forgotten to mention is that we want, of course, our video to be silent. So double click on the region of this video and take the volume knob all the way down, so it is at -infinity. So only this this audio track will be exported, or we can just select solo on this this track. I forgot about it, and I wanted to export the solo on our video audio on our video audio track. I mean our audio track from our camera, and that isn't really the thing that we wanted to do. So let's again select the audio track from our ZM1 microphone, and right now we can export it. Just let me quickly make it a little shorter, and we can render this right now. So as you can see, all the channels are rendering. The first is obviously the most the loudest one, because it is a 0th order Ambisonics channel, which contains information about omnidirectional loudness of the entire track. And these 3 additional tracks contain information about directivity and audio coming from different directions in the Ambisonics audio sphere. The same applies to higher order Ambisonics. Those orders just have more differentiate directivities, and they are just better to say where the sound is exactly coming from. Okay, so we have our video rendered. We can minimize this window for a moment, and we have our doggos.mov file, which is our render file. But if we try to preview it, it will be flat. So what we need to do now is to inject spatial metadata to it. As I said before, we'll be using spatial metadata in media metadata injector for it. So just run it directly from the downloads folder. And it is all that this program contains. Simply open the file, set the show it the path to your video. It'll be our doggos.mov. Open it and check the first and third checkbox. So it's my video is spherical, so it is a video metadata, and my video has spatial audio, so it will inject also metadata responsible for Ambisonics audio. So click just inject metadata, select the output location for this file, and the name. For simplicity, I'll just leave it at that, and tap save. So as you can see, we have our file successfully exported. We can open it with our VLC player. And as you can see, you can move, and you can clearly hear where the tram is. by, I'm sorry, this video kind of looks a little choppy, but you get the idea. You can clearly hear where the tram is, or your musician, or your dog, or everything that you wanted to record. So this is your video ready for publishing on basically any platform that supports Ambisonics content. As I've mentioned before, YouTube supports this kind of videos with first order Ambisonics audio, so I could just upload this video to YouTube right now, and I won't be needing to check anything. Basically, YouTube just takes this video, reads this metadata we've injected to it, and it's ready to be playing. Just you need to just wait for it to be uploaded, and you can enjoy it freely. So right now we will jump to a little harder topic, which is rendering your video and injecting spatial metadata to it with higher order Ambisonics, like second and third order Ambisonics. So let's get back to our Reaper session. We can close this VLC program for now. And the process is exactly the same while rendering, while recording and editing. The only change is right here when you render. And if you check that you have the video region silent and your routing set properly, just change the output channels to 16. So I will now show you the process of rendering and injecting metadata to third order Ambisonics video, because the process for doing that to second order video is exactly the same, so it wouldn't be needed to perform this right now. And let's call this this file Doggo's amazing experience. And the rest of the settings remain the same. So let's render this 16 channel file. As you can see, all the channels are now rendering exactly how we would want it. So we can now move to the process of showing you how you can inject spatial metadata to the to this video later on. In order to do that, you need to have a special version of spatial metadata injector modified by Professor Angelo Farina. So you can just go to his website, and right here you click this option, and you will begin downloading the modified version. Okay, so when you have it in your downloads folder, just simply take this folder and place it on your desktop for easier access later. And you also need a Python in order to run this modified version. Oh, I can see that our file is already exported. So we can close Reaper now. Oh, no, I won't save this. Python is pre-installed on macOS systems, and if you're on Windows, you can just go to python.org page and download it from there. So when you have it installed, jump into terminal, and using cd command, you can show this this Python script where it is located, your spatial metadata injector, your modified version of it on your hard drive. In my case, it is in my desktop, as I said before. So just type in cd and the location to your folder. Run Python script sudo python setup.py, and install. Type in your password. Okay, and when you have it installed, just type in the command cd build /lib/spatial media and hit enter. Okay, now you have it built, and enter python GUI.py, and the application should run. And as you can see, we have our modified spatial media metadata injector opened, and now the process is exactly the same as before. So we just need to show it the path to our Doggo's Amazing Experience rendered video. So let's go to desktop, Doggo's Amazing Experience.mov, open it, select first and third checkbox, and click inject metadata. Change your name of this file if you want, and click save. The script should run properly, and now you have everything ready. Your video could now be played with VLC player as well. And as you can see, it is working perfectly fine. And as you can hear as well, you now hear the tram on the left side. And go back, and now you can hear it on more of the right side. I know this is a very simple example, but it will show you, it showed you the process in a very, I think, simple way and a friendly way. So this is everything that we wanted to talk about in this webinar. This is everything that I wanted to present you, and the effect that we were willing to achieve, we've achieved with ease, I suppose. It was a pretty straightforward process. So right now, I just thank you for attendance, and I would like to invite you to our Q&A session, which will begin in just a moment. See you there.
Okay, thank you, Martin, for this great presentation. And please join me, and we'll start the Q&A session. We already collected a few questions, but if you have more, I would like to add them. Then just use this Q&A window in Zoom. So maybe the first question maybe it's from me. So Martin, if you can say how many cameras and microphones we can record at once. So are there any limitations for that?
Basically, we can say that in this example, sky is the limit, because we can connect up to 10 microphones directly to a USB hub connected to our computer. And if we have enough USB hubs, we can connect up to 200 ZYLIA ZM1S microphones to a single machine. So we can have pretty much a lot of microphones there. We can have how much you want cameras, of course. If they're standalone and battery charged, you can just place them underneath your microphones. And basically these are the limitations. And if you're using ZM1 microphones and you have a recording device for each of them, you can always place as many of them as you want.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. So maybe something in the similar topic. So could you also give recommendation on how to set up the multi-ambisonic microphone setup to, let's say, to get the best possible immersive effect?
Sure. It depends, of course, on how do we want to afterwards present the finished effect. If we're desiring to make something like I've shown on today's webinar, like the multi-point video, in which the viewing and listening points are chosen before an editing stage, you can place them basically whatever you want, because the artistic aspect is also important. So it's wise to choose the places on the scene where a potential listener and viewer would have a good view and a good hearing point of the entire scene. And if we want to make a 6DOF application like in previous webinars we've shown, like when we have to make a walkthrough movie, for example, we made some recordings like this, for example, at Poznań Philharmonic Orchestra, when we used our ZM1S microphones from in the distance like 2 to 3 meters from each other, and they were in those triangular shapes from each other, and this surely gives a good mapping possibility later in post-production.
Okay, thanks. So maybe the next question is from Peter. So why does ZM1 have 19 microphone capsules when only 16 are used after conversion?
Okay, so as I've mentioned in today's webinar, in our ZYLIA microphone, we have 19 capsules when each of them record from a little different point of this sphere. But Ambisonics formats have different number of channels depending on which order of Ambisonics it is. And in our example, our microphone records with 19 capsules, and it creates this 19 channel recording we're calling A format. And to be able to present the spatial ambisonic sphere, we need to convert it using Ambisonics converter, and it converts it to 16 channel third order ambisonics, because third order ambisonics recordings has 16 channels of ambisonics channels, basically, where the first channel is this omnidirectional loudness of the entire sphere, and each next channel corresponds to additional ambisonics channel, which decodes information on directivity from even more narrowed points as the ambisonics order goes higher and higher.
So maybe I just add that the higher the number of microphones, then the lower the spatial aliasing, and then there is a different, maybe the difference between the first order ambisonics microphones, that the first order they directly record to the spherical harmonics. Usually it depends on also on the configuration, but it's much easier conversion. But always for the ambisonics microphones you have to use the converter, so you convert some number of omnidirectional microphones or some microphones to be format or spherical harmonics. Okay, so maybe next question, it's from Carlos. So is the IEM decoder recommended by ZYLIA?
We can say that it partially is recommended by ZYLIA, because it is the most used here in the office binaural decoder. We have tested pretty much a couple of binaural decoders, different binaural decoders by different companies, but we have found that the IEM plugin suite, in which the binaural decoder we are using is comprised in, gives the best sounding results and the best accuracy in binauralization, the ambisonic sphere. So yeah, we can say that we would like to recommend that particular particular decoder.
Yeah, maybe also add that one of the nice feature of IEM decoder is that it supports headphones equalization. So this is not HDRF like many decoders have, but this is headphone equalization. So, and according to different research, the headphone equalization, so the type of the headphones that you use, is more important than the head-related transfer function. For more important from the spatial effect and the localization effect that you achieve at the end. So I think this is also very important feature of this decoder. Okay, so let's go to another question. So it's Peter. Is there a lead to connect the ZM1 to Thunderbird 3 on new MacBook instead of USB, which will use will need an adapter? Yeah.
From what I understand, you need to use an adapter because our microphone comes with the cable, which is USB mini on one side and USB-A on the second side, but it is a very simple process. You just need a adapter like this from USB-A to USB-C, which is exactly Thunderbolt 3 you've mentioned, and you're able to plug in directly to any MacBook. Like I'm doing this right now on this capsule here, so it's very simple.
Okay, so let's go to another question. It's Pedro. Should you do equalization before or after Ambisonics conversion? And which plugin can you use for Ambisonics post processing?
Okay, so first of all, it's always good to do any post-processing after A/B conversion. I mean, from A format to B format to Ambisonics format. Mainly because applying any form of editing to the raw recordings may have an impact on conversion process and may distort it in some way that we don't want it to be. So editing always takes place after the Ambisonics conversion. And as I've mentioned earlier, we are very keen on using the IEM's plugin suite. They offer a quite useful suite of plugins like omnidirectional compressor, directional compressor, multiband compressor, and EQs with support up to 64 channels, as I believe, which is a 7th order Ambisonics, so you have quite a lot of headroom there, and their plugins really help us a lot here. So I could recommend them with ease.
So maybe I'll just also add that, you know, this A to B conversion is linear process, so you can use filters, but you have to be really careful because not to, for example, distort, as Marcin said, because after the conversion, the gain can change a lot, yeah. But if you don't apply this effect to gain, then probably it's it should be okay, but it's a matter of test. Okay, so the next question is from Carlos. The question was one render, one order, Ambisonics, and second, third. I think that I don't have this question correctly written. I think the question was, is the first video render was with 16 channels. So can we decrease the order after the Ambisonics order after the recording? So I think that's the question.
Of course, we can do that after recordings. As I said, while editing, you get the 16 channels after conversion. And while editing, you probably should stick with it, because when you later export or render a 4-channel first-order Ambisonics video, and later on want to go back and export third order, it might be just a little tricky to get those channels back. So while editing, just stick with the 16 channel recordings. But you just decide on the rendering process, which order you want to achieve later. If you want to stick with first order, you just simply check the 4 channels output at the rendering menu, and if you want to use second order, you choose 9 channels, and third order 16 channels. So it applies there. And then it's only a matter of injecting spatial metadata. So for first order, you just can use the ordinary spatial metadata injector, and for higher orders, you need this modified one.
Yeah, maybe also add that that the third order ambisonics is a combination of signals from first, second, and additional channels from third order. So you can play with this, like you can remove the last few channels to decrease it to second order ambisonics and so on. So it's a scalable process, but yes, as Marcin mentioned, it's always better to work in the high resolution signal to achieve better effects at the end. Okay.
Yeah,
so
maybe we didn't stress it enough first that those first channels are the same in higher orders. It's just a matter of adding additional channels, not changing the previous ones. So the 16 channel third order ambisonics has the same 4 channels which are forming the first order, and additional 5 that are creating second order, and additional in the sum of 16 which are forming third order.
Okay, so the next question is Karna. There are a few questions. So maybe the first question is, if we want to record with several 360 cameras, should we use ZYLIA microphone for each camera? So that's the first question.
Okay, so yeah, I think if you want to achieve the similar effect that we wanted to achieve today, you need to use the same number of microphones. But you can also do it like record with one microphone and only change vision points, but then it wouldn't be so immersive, right? It would be like you were hearing the scene from the same spot the whole time, and you were only moving the vision points, so it wouldn't be the form of 6 that we were trying to present today.
Yes, maybe I'll just add one thing that of course the best way is to mimic our head. So you have the microphone and camera at the same place, but sometimes the issue is with 360 cameras that they are really noisy. So one of the solutions is the 6 degrees of freedom plugin that we have. So basically you can put, for example, 3 microphones around the camera and then interpolate this, let's say, virtual Ambisonics microphone at the place of this camera, and then you can fix this issue, let's say, with the noise. So maybe the next question is the recommended frame rate is 25 frames per second, 30 frames per second instead of 29.97. So as not to have problems with the synchronization. So I think that the question is what kind of frame rates can we use for that kind of multi-360 recordings?
I don't really know if the frame rate really dictates something in terms of synchronizing it later. I might just find it out in a moment, but the most important things is surely the sample rate of the sound. So synchronizing your sound from your camera would be easier if you would record it with the same sample rate as you were recording your sound from your ZM1 microphone, so 48 kilohertz.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next question is, can we export in H265 without any problems? Maybe I try to answer. So I don't know what kind of problems you have in mind. So right now this codec is widely used. So the question is about the player. Of course, if you export to 264, then you have more options, more players that support this format. But you know, Marcin, maybe you would like to add anything to this?
Not many. I haven't tried exporting in H265 yet, at least Ambisonics content. So I don't know if it introduces any issues, any problems.
Okay, and then next question: is there other software we can use if we don't have Reaper and Audition? I think Audition, is it possible? So you know, you have to use an DAW for post-production that supports multi-channel tracks. So the example is like Pro Tools, Cubase, Nuendo, and many others like Maxim SP also. If you have a DAW that doesn't support multi-channel tracks like Logic, then you can always use some middleware like Rewire, yeah? And for example, from Max or from Reaper. But right now, more and more DAWs add this multi-channel support. So just check it with your DAW that you use.
From what I know, Audition supports up to 32 channels per track, so it should be possible. It's worth checking out, but I think there wouldn't be problems there.
Okay, so the next question is from Carlos. Where we could find the Python script? I think there's a question regarding this Google and Angelo Farina. So maybe we should put the links on chat, but I think that we can also put it on our website just next to the webinar. But Marcin, could you comment?
Yeah, there's also a tutorial on our page made by Pedro, which describes every step that I've covered in this webinar as well. So there are those comments that you've mentioned there.
Okay, so if you just Google ZYLIA metadata injector or ZYLIA Ambisonics injection, then you will find our blog post. If not, then you can always ask us via email. But I think that we can also put these links on chat right now. So the next question is from Bogdan. Will ZM1 record to sound devices mix pre-6 USB port?
Okay, so from what I know, this can't be achieved because the ZM1 requires its own driver, so it's not compatible with the sound driver recorders. However, it can work with tablets, with for example Windows system, where you can load up Reaper and do the same process as I showed you today, or you can use our ZR1 portable recorder.
Maybe I just add one thing. I don't know if Marcin, maybe you can also show this because ZYLIA ZM1 microphone, this is audio interface. So from this audio interface, you just get one cable. So imagine we have 19 capsules plus synchronization. So if you like to use analog, let's say, way to design that kind of a microphone, then you will have 20 thick cables. So it will be almost impossible to use that kind of a microphone. So right now the only portable recorder that you can use, let's say professional, is our recorder. Or you can use like tablet or some laptop, yeah. So that's the way how to use it. But the output is fully digital over USB.
Yeah, as you can see, we have only this one USB port right there, so it's not like you get the cable for each channel, for each capsule that is recording here. It's a built-in audio interface, as you Tomek said.
Okay, so next question is from David. May I miss something in the first part of the webinar? In the videos, there are no movements of the camera and the microphone to approach one subject with respect to another one. Can those be just by moving them following the horizontal vertical axis without rotation of the camera, or movement are not contempt? I'm not sure if Marcin,
from what I understand from this question, because it seems to me a little complicated, I get the impression that Davey here was referring somehow to our walkthrough movie, where you could just move without any move freely between points, and you could achieve this effect by moving the stand you were recording with. For example, if you were recording like you put your camera and your ZM1 on a stand, and you were holding this stand and moving with it, then you could achieve the effect of moving through the scene. But if you only used stands, as funny as it will sound, then you have only the option of jumping from one point or another. Achieving the effect of moving through the scene could be only achieved by the walkthrough movie, so by the 6DOF recording application.
The plugin, yeah. So maybe there are two options to create this, let's say, navigable audio. So one is that you have microphones and the cameras, like we presented in this video, and then you can achieve like this jumping from one to another, because there is no so far like a volumetric video solution that you can record in this way easily, especially in the real time. And but if you would like to jump to the game environment or virtual reality, then you can achieve this movement translation in the space by using our plugin for interpolation. Yeah? Okay, the next question is, what is the basic requirement of your system to run or basic DAW is enough? So I don't know what is basic, but we use it in Reaper. So Marcin?
Yeah, so I think that the only thing you actually need is a ZYLIA control panel, which comes with your microphone, so you could set gain and everything. And you just plug in the microphone to your machine, and on your DAW you just set it as an input device. But practically the only thing that you need to have, your DAW needs to have, is, as we mentioned earlier, ability to have multiple channels in one track. So Reaper is one of the DAWs that supports it, and we just chose it for this example.
And also maybe add that if you just record, then there is no any specific requirements for the computer. Just if you have maybe connected more microphones, then you have fast SSD disk, but there is no requirements to memory or CPU. However, if you would like to use the setup with many microphones and then do the real-time interpolation like this for this walkthrough movie or virtual reality game, and you would like to do this in the real time, for streaming, for example, then maybe you need a little bit more powerful machine, but still, like nowadays MacBook Pro is just enough to do that kind of things. Yeah? Okay, Okay, also Pedro mentioned that in terms of basic DLW, you can use Ardour, which is really nice. Also the DLW that you can use for free or pay for it. Okay, so I think that we have the last question also from Bogdan. Thanks for answering the sound devices question. Our pleasure. I was asking because Sound Devices offers a plugin for Ambisonics, but no information is available how to use the plugin. Talk to your Ambisonics signal. There are two types, let's say, of microphones. So first one, you have this first order Ambisonics microphones. They have 4 capsules, and usually they have 4 analog cables, outputs. And then you can connect them to the devices like the Sound Devices or any other audio interface. But for the higher order Ambisonics microphones like we have, and frankly speaking, there is only you are not able to find any other higher order Ambisonics, third order Ambisonics on the market at the moment, except ZYLIA. So you have to use this digital signal, so USB cable, and there is no any portable recorder that support this except our recorder. But if you record this raw signal, then you can use just any. For example, if you record this with first order Ambisonics microphone with the Sound Devices, then you can convert the signal from A format to B format. So with Ambisonics microphone, you always need the hardware and this converter to convert the converter software that converts from raw signal to B format. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Maybe very last question. Did you mention the limitation of Ambisonics order on YouTube, Facebook? So maybe one thing that we mentioned that in terms of the platforms that you use, so you can use, for example, standalone VLC player that you can use. You can use also any headset to play back the VR headset to play back the audio and 360 videos like Oculus Quest or similar. For online platforms, you have YouTube or Facebook 360, but the limitation is that they support up to second order. Ambisonics.
Facebook supports up to second order, and YouTube only first, as I
But there is also a really nice player developed by University of Graz, which is called Host 360, and it supports, I think, up to fourth order of Ambisonics. So you can also check this out. It's really nice. Yeah, and that's so you have like plenty of options to how to present your recordings. Of course, at the end, you can always decode it to binaurals or to channels and publish it anywhere. But then you don't have the rotation effect. Of course, okay, we have to close the session. So thank you so much that you survived until the end of this presentation. Thank you, Marcin, for the great presentation.
Thank you for the possibility to be there.
And if you have any recommendation for us, what should be the next topic of the webinar, please just contact us, let us know on Facebook and or any other channel. Thank you that you were there, and it was our pleasure. And goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.